everybody. I'm the walking wounded today. This bandage here, complete with antibiotics, and I mean, it's only a little bite. I got bitten by a possum. Talk about biting the hand that feeds you. I just couldn't understand it. It's gratitude for you. Anyway, that's what happens in this wild garden of mine. Here in South Australia, we were warned of a huge deluge at the weekend. Flash flooding, 100 millimetres of rain. We got, I think, barely a few drops. Now, this is the Bureau that has just spent nearly $100 million on a new website. There's something awfully wrong at the Bureau of Meteorology. I don't know what it is. Their propensity to spend money is terrific. But they're predicting the weather, to me, not so good. Not so good. Summer's gone, speaking of the weather. Pete's here, by the way. The great Bandini is here.
Good afternoon.
Summer's gone. There was a song, wasn't there, Pete? Jeremy and Clyde was Summer's Gone.
No, I don't remember it.
In the late 60s. Good song. Anyway, summer's gone, sadly, and so too has Neil Sedaka. He was 86. What a wonderful talent. And such a nice man. He came out to Australia many times. I had the privilege of talking to him lots and lots of times, must be over a dozen. Calendar girl, living next door to an angel, I think, because he lived next door to Carole King. And at 15, he started writing songs about Carole King. He was just hopelessly, Oh, Carol, for example. Gee, we will miss you. And we've lost the wonderful Lorraine Bailey, a great Australian. She was 89. Makybe Diva. These are not obituaries. These are just sort of milestones, I think, in my memory, and I guess yours. Makybe Diva, greatest racehorse in the world. Gone to the big paddock in the sky. 27 years old, which I think is a reasonable age for a horse. 3 Melbourne Cups. 3 Melbourne Cups in a row. And that's when a champion becomes a legend. I don't think that will ever happen again. I wonder who is the bigger legend? Makybe Diva, Phar Lap,
Mick Jagger.
Thank you. Black Caviar. Wasn't bad either. But on a brighter note, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard has been decapitated. Ayatollah Ali Khomeini killed in a US-Israeli raid on Tehran. Very broad support for the preemptive strike on this ruthless, murderous, brutal regime with a history of terrorism, violence and corruption, and a problem for every country in the region. The people of Iran they have to seize this moment, depose this theocracy before the mullahs, and there are plenty of them, get reorganized. They had a succession plan, I'm sure. So it is vital that the people rise up and embrace freedom. I'm sure they can remember freedom, if of course that's what they want. You mightn't get another chance. I can't believe that the people of Iran, most of whom were not born back in 1979, more than 70% were not born at the time of the Islamic Revolution. And today, I bet these people want rid of the rigid, stifling, oppressive, violent regime. Just do it, but do it quick. Dr. John Bruni, who's usually with us on a Friday morning, jeremycordeaux.com, he was talking last week, in fact, about what he thought was the imminent regime change in Iran. And as usual, he was spot on. Just be careful of unintended consequences, however. I remember when the people, the joyful people of Iraq, pulled down the statue of Saddam Hussein. And in doing so, they created a leadership vacuum that was quickly filled by ISIS. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. It may be quick or it may drag on, but the faster the better. There were a lot of pro-Trump Iranian demonstrations, one in Sydney, one in Adelaide. Not a hijab, not a niqab, not a burqa in sight. Freedom and equality, they're lovely words, especially for women. The only condemnation of the Americans came from the United Nations and the Australian Greens. Well, to have them disagree with you is probably quite a compliment. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. The Court of Public Opinion from the garage. Freedom of speech, opinion, and no woke stuff. And I have got some more good news. If I can just open it quickly, and I'll read you what Andy Martin, who puts this program from the garage out on his various platforms, and the show from around the dining room table on a Friday, he said, this came into me on Friday just while I was getting ready to do the show last week. Congratulations, Jeremy. This is just Facebook views for the last 28 days, and he's got the graph here. So over the other socials as well, you've had around 4 million views and 400,000 comments. What do you think of them apples?
I am speechless.
Wow.
I think that is totally incredible and a credit to Jeremy Cordeaux.
No, I just don't know how people find us, but thank you, Andy, and thank you for all the people who did find us. According to 2 Australian surveys, polls in other words, out yesterday, including the Redbridge survey, One Nation is now the second most popular political party in Australia. 28%. Pauline. Wow, a clear 10 points ahead of the Liberal Party and fast closing in on Labor. That's an amazing result as well. Did you see the Sydney Gay Mardi Gras? Featured extensively on the ABC, of course. What did you think?
The ABC.
What did you think? What did you think? What did you think? I have to tell you that the Gay Mardi Gras is now on the heritage list, which is pretty amazing. So now we have not only stately homes protected, but as Quentin Crisp said some years ago, memorably, British author, raconteur, actor, fantastic man. He famously referred to himself as one of the stately homos of England. So now we have stately homes and stately homos well and truly protected in Australia. Wow, good. Core inflation is at an 18-month high. Jim Chalmers, the economic embalmer, the treasurer, says, if I get his words exactly right, we need to get it lower still. Everyone was saying how high it was. We need to get it lower still. He wants you and me to think that he has been getting it lower, while all the time he's been getting it higher. Stop spending. Huh? It's a variation on you ain't never had it so good. Well, sir, you're wrong. An interest rate hike is now, I reckon, a certainty. Well, almost a certainty, which means another increase in our ongoing cost of living. Ongoing and upgoing cost of living. Public spending and the cost of electricity are the major causes of inflation. Look at it like this. An analogy. If you have a household, let's relate the country to a household, which is what it is, big household. In your household, one of you, the husband or the wife, constantly runs up more and more and more debt. Someone would be racing to a divorce lawyer as quickly as possible, and quite reasonably so. But getting rid of a spendthrift government, or getting rid of a government for the same reason, is a little more difficult, but no less urgent. The removal of the capital gains tax 50% discount is a done deal. A done deal. How do I know? Well, Ken Henry and Bernie Fraser, a couple of Labor favourites from way back, called in to give expert evidence, advice, to a parliamentary committee on the CGT discount. Listening to what these experts had to say, could it be exactly what the government wanted to hear? Could it? They want to cut the Howard-era discount, and they have for years. Even took it to an election, which they lost. That was the famous one you couldn't lose. They lost. So we're not going to let this go. They're like a dog with a bone. Let's get some, or a possum with a finger. Let's get some economists who want exactly what the government wants. That's what we'll do. Ladies and gentlemen, we are being softened up. We've been softened up. They must think that we're very stupid. Here's a fun fact. Analysis of the 48th Parliament of Australia shows that 3 out of 4 Labor members of Parliament, you got that? 3 out of 4 are property investors. Tony Burke, for example, he's got 6. 6. That is 6 investment properties. Other frontbenchers have multiple properties. Interestingly enough, many of these people owning multiple investment properties are not required to disclose if they are negatively geared or not. And here's an interesting thought. Labor holds the highest proportion of property investment within their ranks, with an average of 2.1 properties per representative. Now these, ladies and gentlemen, these are the socialists. They're not the capitalists. More than half of all federal politicians hold investment properties or multiple homes, and my guess is that they're negatively geared. And I'll also guarantee you that they were purchased with the thought in mind of capital gain. And I'm here to tell you that there is nothing wrong with that. But if they think there is, why are they up to their ears in it themselves? But it's extraordinary that these people take advantage of something that they now wish to deprive us of. I don't believe that they can make it retrospective, because that would hurt them, and they wouldn't do that. So I'm assuming that any changes will be grandfathered. But reminding me of the mafia, perhaps they should be godfathered. Anyway, the new rules will apply only from the budget night, I reckon. But think about this. If you guys just stopped spending money, you wouldn't have to do this in the first place. Think about it. A scam that took $15,000 from a Melbourne GP bank account, took it out of her bank account, and $30,000 from that of her son. And this is how. In a flash, on the mobile phone. The mobile phone is the gateway for scammers. Now, I don't pretend to understand the technology, but if you have banking details on your phone, you do internet banking on your phone, clearly your phone can be hacked and you can be robbed. It's that simple. That is why I don't do internet banking, because I'm not sure that the bank would accept the fact that they were at fault, because technically they're not at fault. It's up to me to look after my money and not trust things like mobile phones. Don't do banking on the phone, is my advice. I know lots of people do, but the problem is, with cheques being outlawed, banned very soon, we are being forced into this business of internet banking. I have no faith. I don't know about you, You might like to talk to me about it on Friday, round the dining room table, 9 to 12. 0491 65 68 60. Banks don't take responsibility. Phone companies don't take responsibility. There's a wonderful opportunity here for a bank, a new business, a new bank, to say, where would we start? We won't close branches. We won't stop checks. And we will provide you with service. We will have staff. When you ring the bank, you want to talk to somebody, right? We know that. You want to speak to a person, not AI. I remember Pete came up with this wonderful idea. We recruit people who wanted to have as their calling card, their trumpeting. Speak to a person. We shouldn't be deprived of that basic privilege. Not all this AI and multiple choice button pushing. You see what I mean? All these other banks may well be cutting their own throats, opening an opportunity for a new, old-fashioned bank. I wonder if the Australian Post Office has thought about this. A bank that does what banks used to do, provides service. That's what banks have always done. It was a proven formula for success. This could be a fantastic opportunity and a fantastic success. Am I out of time, Pete?
Oh, we're getting in.
Okay, well, I'll get on to the dates. Happy birthday if you're having a birthday. Happy wedding anniversary. It is March the 3rd. Golly. American tailor and inventor Thomas L. Jennings, he was 30. On this day, received a US patent for his, well, he called it dry scouring process. The forerunner of today's modern dry cleaning. So before 1821, there was no such thing as dry cleaning. Wow, okay. 1831, March 3. 2005, Steve Fossett becomes the first person to fly an aeroplane around the world solo without any stops or refueling, completing a journey of 40,234 kilometres, 25,000 miles, in 67 hours and 2 minutes. How about that?
How about that?
It is.
Totally amazing.
Wow.
How did he carry all that fuel?
How did he... Oh, never mind. Well, I suppose it wasn't all that long, 67 hours. 1847, Alexander Graham Bell, the Scottish-born American-British inventor, the telephone, born in Edinburgh, Scotland. He died in 1922, but he was born this day in 1847, and I personally am very glad that he was. The Battle of the Bismarck Sea, Australian and American air forces devastate the Japanese Navy convoy on this day in 1943. 1789. The first whale was harpooned in the Pacific Ocean by the English ship Amelia off the coast of South America. And all that horrible, brutal whaling industry began. Ah dear. 1985, Moonlighting with Sybil Shepherd and Bruce Willis premiered on ABC TV in America. American singer Liza Minnelli, she was 20, wed singer-songwriter Peter Allen, 23. In New York, they divorced in 1974, but were married on this day in 1967. Oh, yeah. The Star-Spangled Banner. You know the best version of the Star-Spangled Banner?
Jimi Hendrix.
No.
Oh, it was brilliant. At Woodstock.
Really?
Oh,
It was just jangled,
What do you think, Peter?
blood-curdling stuff. No, I never got that guy. No, I think Whitney Houston's version was the best version I've ever heard of the Star Spangled Banner. It officially became the U.S. national anthem by congressional resolution, lyrics by Francis Scott Key in 1814 and set to music composed by John Stafford Smith. 1931, they adopted it as the national anthem. I would have thought it was way before 1931. Emperor Wilhelm II of Germany becomes the first person to make a sound recording of a political speech using Thomas Edison's cylinder. 1904 was the year. We wouldn't have understood a word of it, would we? No. Los Angeles police officers severely beat motorist Rodney King. The beating is famously captured on amateur video and later leads to riots when the police officers were acquitted. 1991. Cab Calloway records Minnie the Moocher, jazz music's first million seller. 1931. Jennifer Warnes, I like her, she's good, American singer, arranger, producer. Up Where We Belong, the famous Blue Raincoat. Leonard Cohen wrote that, I reckon.
Yes, her great album was an album of Leonard Cohen songs.
Was it the famous Blue Raincoat? Yeah, yep. Born Seattle, Washington on this day in 1947. Lou Costello, American comedian and actor, Abbott and Costello. Who's on first? That was one of their famous sketches, which is very, very good. Dies of a heart attack. He was only 52. 1959 was the year. Anne Sullivan begins teaching 6-year-old blind deaf Helen Keller on this day in 1887. Elvis Presley's hit. What was it now? He had so many. Elvis Presley's first hit in Billboard's top 10, Heartbreak Hotel, 1956. This day. If I said David Daniel Kaminsky, who do you think I'd be talking about?
I don't know.
Well, David Daniel Kaminsky changed his name to Danny Kaye. American comedian and actor. Danny Kaye's show White Christmas dies of a heart attack this day in 1987. He was 76. I think we might just leave it there. Oh, ex-Prime Minister of Australia, Bob Hawke, 26, marries his first wife, Hazel, 26. They're both 26 at Perth's Trinity Church in Australia. 1956 was the year. Thank you so much for being with us, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for all the support you give us. We're so grateful. We'll be back on Thursday morning at 9 o'clock with another posting on Facebook. Look forward to talking to you again then with more stuff. And then again on Friday around the dining room table, jeremycordeaux.com. Until then, believe in yourself and thank you for viewing the Court of Public Opinion.